Hey guys, it's BobbieLynn with the Country Cowbell. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a set of 4 coasters from wall hangers from the Dollar General. Each wall hanger costs only $1. This is a fun little project. Here you'll see all the supplies that we will need. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take each of our wall hangers and we're going to take a putty knife and we're going to pop off the top piece, take off the price tag, and rip off the hanger. Once you do that to all 4, we will then take the, oh no, I forgot, I broke this one. So we're going to take our Titebond thick and grip and stick. I don't remember what it's called, but I love the stuff. This is my first time using it. It works awesome, quick and thick. There we go. Squish it together, smear that stuff around, put something heavy on top, let it dry, good as new. Okay, so we're going to go in with the color True Blue, I believe it is, from Apple Barrel. We're going to do 1 good coat around the outside perimeter of each of the bases. If you're not subscribed to my channel, now's a good time to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on that notification bell so that way you get notified on all of our new videos. So when you do this part, there is no need to worry about the center of the base because it's going to be covered up and you'll never see it. Once you have it all painted, you're going to go off and we're going to dry this completely. The biggest thing you can worry about doing is making sure everything is dried thoroughly. Now, if you have time in between steps to let something dry on its own, I think the paint cures better if it dries on its own. Now we're going to go in with this chalk paint by Folk Art, I believe. It's from Hobby Lobby. I think it's called Linen. And we are just going to do the edges of our bottom bases. Now, when doing this, the trick is put your brush down and then pull it towards you, towards the blue. And you won't get hardly any, if any, of this color on top of your blue. But if you do, it's completely fine. I really believe strongly in finishing touches and details. I really feel it ties the project together. This part is optional. You don't have to do this, but I really think it makes a difference in the end. So you're going to do this to all 4 bases. The next part we're going to be dry brushing. Now to dry brush, you're going to take your paint and you're going to put it on your paintbrush, and if it's shiny, you're going to dab some of it off, which is offloading. And then when it's not shiny, then you know you have just enough paint to dry brush across your surface. We're going to do this to all 4 bases and dry them again. I want to take the time to invite you to watch my last video on how to decoupage. That has all the details on one of the steps in this project. So if you haven't seen that yet, pause this, go back and watch that, and then you'll know how to do the next section perfectly. Right now, we're going to be painting the bottom of each coaster. This is not necessary, but again, I like the detail. So if a coaster should get flipped over, it's completely finished on the bottom as well. 1 coat should be fine because we're going to put little feet on here, so you won't be wearing on the paint by setting it down. You're going to do this to all 4 bottom pieces. Again, this is linen, French linen. I don't remember exactly. It's a really pretty chalk paint color, though. It's kind of, I would say it's equivalent to Plaster by Waverly. Then once you get all 4 bases done, you're going to take your little Ranger heat tool or whatever heat tool, blow dryer you have, and you're going to dry it thoroughly. Again, if you have time to set these aside to let them dry naturally, that's the best way. But us crafters are impatient and we always want to finish our project, so the struggle's real. Okay, so next we're going to take some painter's tape and we're going to work on the feet of each coaster. So you can use a half bead, you can use a square bead, you can use whatever you want. A button, doesn't matter. These, I believe, are those little, I don't know, those little pieces that you plug up where you have a screw on furniture. I don't know what they're called. I got them at a thrift store. So I counted out enough to have 4 on each coaster, and then I'm going to take some of my antique wax. It can be any antique wax that you like, and I'm just going to do a quick coat over the top of each of these. They look like little mushrooms. You can take a baby wipe at this point and wipe them down so they look like they're stained, but I didn't really feel it was necessary. I just wanted to get them covered. Making sure to get the edges coated and not just the tops. Make sure you don't paint the bottom surface that you're going to be gluing down, because this is wax and it won't stick well. Meaning when you glue it, it won't adhere to your surface. Now we're going to take regular matte Mod Podge and we're going to go over the tops of each of the feet, because this is a sealant. And what this is going to do is protect your furniture, your table, whatever you have these coasters on. You don't want any of that wax to transfer. It shouldn't, but just in case, I like to put a top coat of a sealant on there, and I'm using the matte Mod Podge. Once that's completely dry, then we're going to start to glue them on to the bottom of our bases. I'm just going to put 4 on each one. You don't need to measure, just think of 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 3 o'clock type of a deal, and put them on there. If you notice, the bottom of the little pieces, like I mentioned, are not, they don't have any wax on them. That way they'll stick. And I apologize for the horses and the cows in the background. I do have a farm here, so this is daily life. And I love it. So once you get all 4 of your feet on all 4 of your bases, we're going to move on to the next part. Now we're going to take some of our antique wax and a sponge, and we are going to dab around the edges. This is an optional part. You don't have to do this. Also, we are going to be going over where we dry brushed. That way it looks more antique, and this is what's going to make the blue not so bright. I apologize for the background. It's feeding time here on the farm. So again, we're going to take our makeup sponge, go around the edge to antique that light color of the linen up, and then we're going to go over, we're going to dry brush the dry brush with the antique wax, just so it looks more used. We're going to do this to all 4 pieces. This was probably not the best time to do a voiceover, so I do apologize. If you have any questions, if you can't hear what I'm saying, please don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below, and I will answer them as soon as I see them. We've got 1 more left. Now, remember I always said if you wax something, the glue's not going to stick to it very well. So make sure when you are dry brushing your wax over the blue part that you don't go over the center, because that's where we're going to glue our centerpiece, and it's not going to stick to it if it's got wax on it. I know I sound kind of redundant, but I just want to make sure you understand, because you don't want to mess up your craft. It's frustrating. Here is our napkin that we're going to be decoupaging with. Like I said, if you don't know how to decoupage, especially with an iron, go back and watch my previous video and it will show you how. So make sure that you take off every single ply that your napkin has. Some have 1 ply, some have 3 plies. This was a 3-ply napkin, so I had to take off 2 plies. Now I'm taking Snow White by Waverly. This is a chalk paint. And because my napkin is white in the background, the part I'm putting my napkin on needs to be white as well. That way the colors really shine through. So I'm going to not only paint the base of it, but I'm going to do the edges as well. So because these have a graphic on them, sometimes you need to scrape that off, but none of these graphics were peeling up, so I'm just going to do this right on over the top. You're going to want to go in and do 2 coats, because once your base coat is dry, you can actually see the aloe plant or the mint plant through it, and we don't want that to shine through our napkin. So here we go again. We're going to do our outside perimeter, the edges rather, and then we are going to paint over the little mint plant. This is going to actually be the part that your drink is going to sit on. I suggest using these for just cold beverages. You probably could, after a month of this setting, probably use it for your coffee, but right away, just use it for something cold. Once you get all 4 of those done, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our antique wax. We're going to go around just the edges, not the base of it, just the edges. This is really important because we just painted these white, so that way they stay white. But we want our edges to be antiqued a little bit. We don't want that stark white. There's our broken piece, you guys, and it really, I was going to say healed up nice. It really glued well together. Now, we are going to take our napkin, and I'm just going to rip it into quarters. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it covers each circle. You can use a wet paintbrush or a water pen to do this. Now we're going to take Mod Podge or a white Elmer's school glue, whatever you prefer. I like using Mod Podge Matte, the original, and do an even coat over this whole piece, making sure you get your edges. That is so important that you get your edges, because you don't want this to peel up. You want the napkin to stay put. Then we're going to dry it. I really do like this Ranger heat tool. It really works well, and it's not really loud, which I really like. Now we're going to take our napkin and we're going to place it on this circle surface here, wherever we want it. You can use parchment paper. I don't recommend using wax paper, but you can use parchment paper for this next step, or you can use a Teflon sheet. I'm going to use my little iron with no steam, and I'm just going to iron around this whole surface, and this is going to reheat and reactivate that Mod Podge underneath and glue that napkin down. Now it's on there forever. You're going to do this with all 4 pieces. So again, make sure you get the outside edges really well. And then of course get the center. And then make sure that you dry it. Because if it's wet and you put your iron on it, you're going to have a big sticky mess. We've all done it, so don't feel bad if you accidentally do that. We've all done it a time or two. So I'm just going to make sure everything's all Mod Podged up good and evenly, and then I'm going to dry all these 3 pieces together. It's also really important to get the edges, because in the burn technique that we're going to do, wherever there's Mod Podge, the napkin will not burn. And this will make sense when you see this in a minute. So if you missed a piece, the napkin will burn past the edge of your surface. I'll show you. It'll make sense when you see it. So you have to make sure this is dried really well, just like everything else. Gonna put your napkin on top of your little coaster. Make sure it's right where you want it to be. You can move this napkin around so each one is different. I just happen to make them all match. Put your Teflon sheet down, iron it really well, making sure you get the edges to reactivate that Mod Podge, and then get that napkin to stick to it. Now when you put your napkin down and then you use your Teflon sheet, make sure that the static doesn't fold your napkin over like it does here. Really pay attention, because it does create static for some reason. You don't, once it's ironed down, it's ironed down. You ain't gonna get that back up, so. And then the last one, making sure it's right where we want it, because once it's on there, it's on there. So for the next step, to get the edges off, you can always take a sanding block or a piece of sandpaper and sand down away from the top. That way it'll sand all that excess right around off, perfectly shaped. But what I like to do is I cut off the excess, and then I actually take my lighter and I burn it, and it just follows it right around. This is really good if you're Mod Podging letters. It gets in all the little nooks and crannies. So as you can tell, it went all the way around the edge but didn't go onto the surface because my Mod Podge is on the edges. For some reason, it will not burn the Mod Podge, which is a good thing. Just make sure you have water nearby, because, I mean, it is a flame. But it gives it that perfect finish. Sanding does too, if you prefer to sand it. And for the last one, again, like I said before, my previous video that I just made really goes into detail on how to do this in the why behind what you have to do. This is called decoupaging, what we're doing right now. So if you want to learn more, go check out that video. Now this Mod Podge, I tried to get the price off so you could see it. This is, there's all different kinds of Mod Podges, you guys. But this one is dishwasher safe. Not that these are going to go in your dishwasher, but it's good to use this Mod Podge because your glass, your drink, is going to sweat. And you're going to want to be able to wipe it off and not have any problems. Because these are made out of MDF board. You don't want them to get wet. So I highly recommend using the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. So you're going to go over the top of this, and you're going to dry it really well. And you're also going to go over the base, which I'm not sure I filmed, but you want all the edges, all the tops, everything covered, and you want a few coats of this. And I'm saying after 30 days, you can probably put a hot cup of coffee on here because it says to let it sit for a while, but you can use it. Use it for your glasses of water, your cold drinks. But as far as hot drinks, I would let it set for, you know, a good 30 days before you try to put anything hot on them. Just to be careful. But you can wipe them off with a wet cloth, paper towel to clean them, and you'll be fine. Now this next part, you can use any glue you want. You can use E6000 for a permanent hold, and then your hot glue for an instant hold. I'm just going to use this Titebond thickened stick that I used earlier because it really worked well on this one of these broken pieces. So that's what I'm going to use here. Is I'm going to take some of that Titebond and I'm going to put it all around this, and then I'm going to go in with the hot glue for an instant hold, and then that Titebond will have time to dry while the hot glue is holding it in place. And just put these right in the center, and there you have it, guys. There are your set of 4 coasters, only costing you $1 each from Dollar General. You just gotta use your imagination and see what you can make. Again, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, thumbs up, and hit that bell notification so that way you get notified on all my new videos coming up. Thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you all so much.